Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for the second edition of the Adelaide Capital Digital Newsletter. So excited. We've got a lot of companies presenting today, so looking forward to getting an update. I'm Deborah Honig, and with me I have Tina, Victoria, and Vanessa. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I guess to get started, we should recap some of the stuff that we've been working on lately. Vic and Tina, you hosted a SaaS conference a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, the SaaS conference was really interesting. So for those who missed it, we do have the replays up on our YouTube channel under Adelaide Capital. There were 7 different companies that presented. Just trying to think, like running through the list really quickly. We had, Media Ballet, HealthSpace, Wishpond, Boardwalk, Accrue, Tantalus, and Vital Hub. And so we just thought it was really interesting because, as we said in the conference, business digitization isn't really just a trend, but it is a structural change that we're seeing. And it was really accelerated through the past year with COVID and work from anywhere policies, as well as, shopping online and trying to reach your customers in new ways. And so we think all of these businesses have, a substantial amount of growth ahead of them, and that the next 12 months are going to be a really exciting time for all of them. So if you missed it, definitely check it out on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was a great event, a lot of great presenters. And then last week, we also did a mining-focused event in the state of Idaho. Tina, you pretty much moderated the whole thing.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting event. We had Integra, First Cobalt, Revival, Excellon, Bunker Hill, and Perpetua present. Butch Otter, the former governor of Idaho, was there to join us, and Ben Davenport, who's executive vice president of the Idaho Mining Association. So I think it added a lot of credibility to the event and showed the support for a lot of these projects. Generally, I think Idaho is a great jurisdiction to be in, and I think it's a place where we're going to see some M&A going forward. So a lot of interesting names to present.
Yeah, we've got another mining conference coming up in mid-May. We're working on putting together a Central American and Caribbean focused conference. So we've got a number of issuers already signed up, which include Unigold, Mako, and Royal Road. And we're looking for some more suggestions. So if anyone knows any really good Central American focused mining companies, let us know. And I think and Tina, we have our upcoming COVID and Healthcare Reunion Conference. We did a conference last year on April 23rd, featuring 9 different companies that had products and treatments that were focused on COVID-19. And we thought it'd be a good opportunity to bring some of those companies back. And our keynote, Eden Rahim, is going to give us a little bit of an overview on investing in the space and how it's changed over the past year. And once again, this will be in support of Tina's charity that she's been working on, and maybe she could give us an update there.
Sure, yeah. The Charities for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada. We're just into our 4th week and raised over $50,000 so far. A long goal over the next 10 weeks is to raise $100,000. So had a lot of great support from Adelaide and the Bay Street community. So yeah, it's going really well so far.
Well, hopefully we get there. Halfway, right?
Yeah.
And then Vanessa's hosted a few of her intro webinars and now a conference. So glad to have you part of the team, and glad to see that you're going to be joining the newsletter too today.
Well, thank you.
With that, I think we could get started with our first presenter. So we had one of our companies go public last month, and they have an exciting project in the state of Nevada. They're going to have drill results soon, hopefully. And to tell us a little bit about Bald Eagle Gold is CEO Sydney Himmel. Nice to see you. Do you want to give us a little bit of an overview of what is Bald Eagle Gold?
Sure. Just listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, TSX.V. It's a gold exploration and development company. The team's had lots of experience doing that previously. I certainly have done a lot of development in the U.S. Southwest. And just briefly, it's essentially pure gold, focusing on the 4 corner states and Nevada and Idaho. And we have a joint venture with the Huizenga family in the Hot Springs project. And we're in the middle of drilling right now, and we're probably going to start having results come out in about 2 weeks for about 6,000 feet of core, which will be analyzed simultaneously.
Nice, sounds exciting. And I believe, well, Sid, you and I have known each other for quite a while.
We have.
Back from when I was a salesperson. I think the first time we met, I was at Laurentian. And this is not your first mining company, is it?
No, it's not. I've been in the business about 20 years. The last company we worked on that I put together with a financial group around it was called IC Potash. And we took a concept stock, or they call them, vaporware, etc. We worked with a geologist called Bob Height, went to New Mexico, had a concept around a new type of polyhalite. And within 8 years, we had an approved mine all ready to get built with a capital cost of about 1.2 billion and a massive resource. So at one point, we had about 50 or 60 engineers working on it, got detailed engineering put together, and ultimately sold it to a couple of private equity funds. So very familiar with the entire process. What's different right now is back then it was industrial minerals. Right now we're working on gold, and suffice it just to state that if you look at debt levels right now in the United States, to give one example, the total debt per taxpayer in the United States right now, all in, and I have all the data to support that, is literally $600,000 per taxpayer, which means that's never going to get repaid or covered. And if you look at bond issues by the US government, the Canadian government, the UK government, no bond issue gets completed these days without the bank of that country buying 20 to 25% of the issue. So we know that currency is getting devalued, and it's coming through in real estate, it's coming through in Bitcoin, it's coming through in gold. So we're the gold part of that investment inflation hedge.
Well, it sounds like it's an interesting time for gold, and you're in the right commodity and in a really great jurisdiction. There's so many Nevada plays that are popping up, but yours is unique in that you're on two different trends. So yeah, looking forward to those results. And thanks for joining the Adelaide Capital family.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Great to be presenting today. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure working with you so far, Sid. And next up, we have Brendan Cahill, CEO of Excellon Resources. Excellon presented at our Idaho event last week, as they have a couple projects in the state of Idaho. And here to tell you more about that and some of the other projects that they're drilling this year is Brendan. Hey, B, how are you?
Got the full panel today.
Hi.
Under
the
pressure.
intimidation factor.
Yeah, and I got my Idaho background here as well, which I didn't actually have during the conference, but probably should have, rather than the white wall.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
So tell us what's going on at Excellon.
Yeah, so busy month over the past month or so. News out today on our production results from Q1. Another strong quarter, 516,000 ounces silver equivalent. But really, when you kind of dig into those numbers, just excellent metal production, silver, lead, and zinc. We're actually suffering a bit on the silver equivalency side, I would say, because silver in Q1 2020 was $15, and now it's $26. So when you report in silver equivalency, silver skyrockets and the base metal equivalent contribution goes down. Just the math, but the mine operating really well. I think key thing is that we've had 3 consecutive quarters at over 21,000 tons mined from the operation. So those are the 3 biggest quarters from a mine tonnage perspective in the operation's history. So really starting to get that steady state production. Recoveries during the quarter were a little bit lower than we would like, lower than they were in Q3 and Q4, but about the same as Q1 2020. So we have room to improve there, and that's free money. You add a couple % to your recoveries and goes right to the bottom line, and improves your costs and gives you more ounces and the whole like. So that's going to be a big focus going forward based on some of the improvements we made at the mill during Q1. A great milling team there under our process manager, Rodolfo Espinal. So, the mine going well, and then it's all about drilling. And that's really what 2021 is about for us. I think we have 4 or 5 rigs going at Platosa right now, 2 underground, 2 on surface, and maybe another one underground roaming around. And it's just the thesis of, grow Platosa, find more Platosas, and then find that gold, copper, scar, and source of Platosa, proceeding down all those avenues. In Idaho, we're going to be drilling at our Oakley project with our partner there, Centerra Gold. That should start within the next month, hopefully sooner than that. The snows have lifted, so we're just getting lined up for that program. Permitting our Kilgore project for a drill start early or in middle of this year. And then Silver City, we're finalizing the permit there. Hope to be drilling there in May. And 2020 we drilled 16 holes for 3,500 meters. A far more expansive program this year as we start to follow up on those high-grade discoveries results and that huge epithermal system that we see there over so far 12 and increasing lengths of strike length there. It's just an extraordinary project to have in a great jurisdiction. That's my elevator pitch.
That's great.
It was a long elevator ride though.
Do you still have some results to report from the last program at Silver City?
Yeah, we do have 8 holes to report. Getting assays back has been very slow. I think we put out some of the key ones so far. We did prioritize the drilling on the last program. Definitely some very good geological opportunities that we're seeing, I think, without having the assays back in those last 8 holes. But we're very well set up for this year's program. Can't wait to get that started.
Great. Well, congrats on the production results this morning, and looking forward to seeing the drill results as they come out.
All right. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, all.
Thanks, Brendan.
That wasn't as intimidating as I thought it might be.
I guess we're nicer than we look.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And not to Silas. We're going to be mean to him.
Good luck, Silas. Guys.
All right, fine. Let me have it.
So next we have Silas Garrison, the CEO of HealthSpace. So HealthSpace has built a cloud-based self-serve platform that really is transforming and digitizing the way that governments, interact with the public and the citizens that they regulate. So Silas also was a presenter at our SaaS conference last month, and I'm just going to pass it over to him to tell you a little bit more about what they've been up to.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Yeah, it's been a busy start to the year. In going from back to January and in February, we actually broke into 2 new market segments. Again, our whole focus as a SaaS provider is to saturate the government market. The majority of our current customers and our product sales pipeline has always been comprised of environmental health departments, a segment of the market that regulates private businesses for licensing and inspection, et cetera. But we were actually able to break into 2 new market segments with our cloud solution, clinical health in January, and also departments of agriculture. So we actually announced a $2 million 5-year contract with Wisconsin Department of Agriculture in February. So our focus right now, especially for 2021, is really to break into two new market segments, which I'm very pleased that very early on in the year we were able to break into 2. But we have a couple more that we have our eye on that we're going to break into hopefully in the latter half of this year. Looking forward over the next quarter, we got a lot of exciting things developing from a new product announcement, a new product release that we anticipate presenting here in the next few weeks, to further updates on our HSPay platform. For those not familiar, we've kind of entered into the fintech world. We have launched a product extension for our cloud-based software for the digitization of revenue for government. In simple terms, it's an online and payment solution that allows government to collect their money, which they always charge to private businesses and citizens in the segment of the market we offer. So there's a huge increase in revenue that we can see through this kind of payment solution. Other than that, we've got a good growth ahead of us for the summer months. A lot of government customers typically sign contracts and deals are closed in the summer months. So we expect the next couple of quarters to be pretty active for us.
Yeah, that's great. And then I actually just wanted to mention too that we're going to be setting up some marketing. So if anyone's interested in, sitting down and learning more about HealthSpace, just let us know. But thanks for the update, Silas.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Silas.
Next up, we have iFabric Corp, getting 2 for the price of 1 today. Hilton Karan is the CEO of iFabric, and Giancarlo Bevis is the CEO of the Intelligent Fabric division. Busy month for iFabric. Can you guys give us a bit of an update about what's been going on the last few weeks?
Busy few weeks, understatement. Thank you, Tina. We recently completed our raise, and I'm pleased to report that it was actually oversubscribed. So we're very well positioned right now to execute our plans and well into the future. So that is really bode well for us, and we're really pleased that has come to fruition. We recently launched the Frontline PPE line, available on www.iftna.com for those who want not just masks, but masks with class-leading technology. And we'll be adding additional products to our PPE line on that site in the coming months. Our private label programs continue to grow in 2021 into 2022. Projections are looking really positive. Our chemical programs with Target, Lulu, Under Armour, and Charismatic as our bigger brand partners. Once again, very exciting projections going into the future. So that's doing very nicely. If anybody wants to go into Lulu or Lole, L-O-L-E, websites, these are some apparel activewear customers using our brands and featuring our brands in their product. So it's nice to see not only on our promotion, but on our customers' promotion, what they feel about our products. We're going to be launching later in the year our own apparel brand as well. So look forward to that coming out in the not too distant future. We're just about to finalize some new additional partnerships with global leaders in new product categories. So this is something very exciting for us, that not only is our core business doing rather nicely, but we're adding some rather unique categories and products and markets to our customer base. So look out for that in the not too distant future. We're still online for 2021 to complete our clinical trials. And that's going to keep us busy for the next little while.
Well, congratulations on oversubscribing the financing. And again, like you mentioned, a lot of major brands, Target, Lululemon. I would encourage you to check out their website. I believe the No Stink Sink technology incorporates iFabric's technology, and Lole website has ProTex 2 directly on the page. So you can see that iFabric is working with the company. So that's fantastic.
Next up, we have Akiva Leisman, CEO of Mako Mining, who's got a new haircut, I think.
I did. It was actually my first real haircut in about 15 months. I used to
you didn't go blonde, though?
I was expecting blonde.
We're going to have to get you a wig, Akiva.
There you go.
So you want to give us an update on what's going on at San Albino and with the exploration as well?
April is definitely our busiest month. Right now, the mine is going gangbusters. We'll be putting out an update either tomorrow morning, if we can get our external QP to sign off on some of the technical data, at the latest on Monday morning, that will show kind of what we're pulling out of the mine. When we did that updated resource estimate of 9.56 grams a ton, which in and of itself made it the highest grade open pit mine in the world, we explicitly stated that we were using very conservative estimation parameters to calculate that number with respect to how we were mining and the net dilution that we were going to be taking. So we always had the expectation that this mine was going to be substantially higher than 9.56 grams a ton when we're mining in mineralized material. So this update that we're going to be putting out will confirm what we've been saying for the last 5 or 6 months. Now, the more important part about the mine, and really what was a key risk going back from this project since anybody was aware of it in the early part of the last decade, was the ability to mine the way that we're mining, which was fairly surgically at a reasonable commercial throughput. So in March, we were pulling out from the ground on a single mining shift of about 350 tons a day, just under our targeted capacity of 500 tons per day. And so far in the first 13 days of April, we've been pulling out over 500 tons a day of mineralized material that's being fed into our mill right now, our crusher and mill at this point. On some of the narrowest, the skinniest part of the ore body. And kind of what that means is fairly simple, is that if we're going to be mining with the same fleet, with the same shift, the same people, same skill set, but if we happen to be mining a vein that is 0.7 meters, in the summertime, where we're going to be mining a vein that's going to be in excess of 2 meters wide, the throughput, the amount of mineralized material that's going to be coming from the mine will nearly triple. It's as simple as arithmetic as that. It's the thickness of the vein will determine how many tons we can actually pull out on a daily basis. Now, for us to mine consistently at 1,000 tons a day, which is our intermediate objective, we do need to bring in some additional deposits into the fold, which we're still working on right now. The most advanced being to the south, over at Las Conchitas. We have a single rig there right now. We actually have another rig over at San Albino. And then sometime, probably at the beginning of next month, maybe towards the end of next month, depending on schedules, we'll increase that rig count to 5. So it's more than doubling the exploration pace that we have, with the prime objective to finding additional ore so we can expand our operations to 1,000 tons a day. Most of the civil work and infrastructure are essentially complete to do that. So very minor CapEx to do that expansion. And then frankly, the most important part, at least for April, I don't necessarily think this is the most important part for the long-term objectives of the company, but for April, we got to get this mill up and running. So we certainly had some teething pains on getting it up. I'm actually headed down to Nicaragua. Well, tomorrow I'm going to be in Florida, but I'll be in Nicaragua on Saturday for the week. A lot of those bottlenecks that developed really starting when we got hit by some hurricanes last year, and then kind of getting the plant up and running now, are very quickly, one right after the other, getting resolved. So on a few days, we managed to get the mill up, even with those bottlenecks, to about 375 tons a day. We'll probably be releasing the final bottlenecks on that sometime over the course of the next 2 weeks, at which case the plant is operational, and then we're no longer constrained by the mine. And then we have what truly is the highest grade open pit mine in the world, with the profits that will be commensurate with those attributes.
Well, congratulations. Building a mine during a pandemic with 2 Category 4 hurricanes is no easy feat. So congrats on that. And so in terms of declaring commercial production, what would you think the timeline for that is right now?
Right. So the declaring commercial production is an accounting metric. So we actually do need to have some time for that, for auditors to do that. For me, just to make sure that everybody's clear what I mean by commercial production, we're mining at nearly 500 tons a day and processing at nearly 500 tons a day consistently without hiccups. To me, that's commercial production. And then really the hurdle to get over that right now is just finishing off those minor bottlenecks. None of these issues, by the way, were significant. Were things like having a $20 flow meter that was giving a bad reading that we needed to replace at a local store just down the road from the mine. There were things like having a ripped cloth that we needed to have extra replacements on the filter press. All minor issues that are associated with it, but they built up over time. I fully expect that all of those bottlenecks are going to be complete by the end of this month, in which case we're going to be processing 500 tons per day. That will be equivalent to the 500 tons per day of mineralized material production that we have from the mine right now.
Okay, great. Well, good luck on your trip. Stay safe. Definitely get us some visuals from site. Always like seeing the photos and the videos. And yeah, congrats. Exciting times for Mako.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, thanks, Deb.
Bye, Kiva. Next up, we have Cameron Groom, CEO of Microbix. The label's going to do the presenting today. Oh, there he is.
Exactly. There we go.
Disappearing.
Yeah. Invisible. Amazing what you can do with technology. Hey, Deborah, hey, Tina, Victoria, Vanessa.
Hi.
Thanks for having us join today.
Give us an update.
Absolutely. Our tonnage of ore production is way up, and we're seeing, 2 ounces of gold per ton equivalent. No,
are you just testing to see if we're paying attention?
Exactly. No,
how's the exploration going?
Is everybody else as fed up with COVID as we are? More seriously, though, we're continuing to support the global diagnostics industry and more local health authorities in the responses, and specifically so that the testing programs can continue and be verified as accurate, which, you know, the only thing worse than not testing at all is testing and have it give false readings. So, you know, our controls, like the one behind me, are supporting the COVID molecular or PCR tests for the original strain of virus. We've created and registered products to support the accuracy of the rapid antigen tests. Those are being very widely used outside of Canada for enterprise screening. So rather than diagnosing an individual, identifying an outbreak in a workplace or a school or a hospital in aggregate and saying, you know, if we've got 500 employees and we test them all a couple times a week, we're not going to catch every case, but we don't need to. What you want to find is whether there is COVID circulating in the organization, and then you can root down and identify each individual case around close contacts. So that's something that we are seeing great success with now as well. And then most recently, we've created test controls again on the Copan flock swabs, like you see behind me, for the new variants, and specifically for the Brazilian, South African, and UK strains that are more contagious and seem to have more serious illness associated with them. And we now have test controls that we're making available for each of those, because your PCR test for the native Wuhan strain may or may not work as effectively for the others unless you find out whether it does. And we now have the products to support that. And we're also continuing work with the province of Ontario for procurement of our viral transport medium. That's the solution that you snap off the swab and put it in a tube of stuff. Nobody was making that critical product in Canada of the form that is most wanted by province of Ontario, so we've undertaken to do so. It's a multi-eared, long, and frustrating process with procurement, but we remain in it and we're working on that. So busy as all hell. And the main message I'd provide is just the connectivity now that we have with the major global diagnostics companies is just off the chart because of the pandemic. And we now have leading companies like Abbott, Becton Dickinson, and most recently Roche that are citing Microbix caps control products for supporting different varieties of their tests. And that just goes up and down the line with the engagement that we have with more and more industry leaders seeing our products and wanting to work with us for new types of test controls. So that bodes very well, of course, in the pandemic for us, but most importantly, even beyond it. And hopefully we will all get beyond it. So you'll see just on a few other items, you'll see me as CEO and our chairman as insider buyers in the past few days. Will be presenting next week at the Bloom Burton Virtual Healthcare Conference virtually in Toronto. And you'll also see our Q2 results coming out mid-May. That's for the fiscal Q2 of 2021, the quarter ended March 31st. And those results will be out mid-May. And we don't expect any break in the growth trend that we have been demonstrating in Q1 and Q4, et cetera. So busy times.
How's the antigen business doing?
It is doing okay. You know, the antigen business with our bioreactor technology has been clicking along very nicely. We had a long run of 20 consecutive successful batches, you know, at or above targeted yields. And then we had a pinhole in a tube weld that cost us the 21st batch and broke that streak. But it's been moving very well. We are seeing consistent flow of orders from new customers, and we're starting to see a return to more normal levels. But again, this business has a 4 to 6 months lead time on orders. So we won't see that recovery reflected probably until closer to the fiscal year end. But it looks strong going into fiscal 2022 for antigens.
Well, it's nice to see things start to get back to normal.
Yes, one can hope. One can hope. So, you know, we're doing everything we can to support these support the industry that's able to do the testing and tracing, and do that globally, and then of course act locally as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for the update, Cameron. Good luck at the conference next week, and looking forward to seeing you at our COVID and Healthcare Reunion event on the 22nd.
Okay, well, that's great. Great to learn about that, and I'll look forward to participating. Thank you so much, guys.
It's in your calendar, don't worry.
Perfect, thank you.
And next up, we have Gary O'Connor, who's CEO of Moneta Porcupine, and I'm not sure if Linda's coming on camera or not. One of our newer colleagues was threatening to do her maiden webinar voyage with us today. Hi, Linda. Do you want to introduce Gary? And maybe introduce yourself as well.
Okay, sure. So my name is Linda Armstrong. I joined Adelaide Capital in January of this year. I've been in investor relations for about 25 years now, and I'm very pleased to be working with Moneta Porcupine Mines, which has one of the largest undeveloped gold projects in North America. We have 8.4 million ounces of gold identified in the inferred and indicated categories. And Gary O'Connor has assessed hundreds of economic projects all around the world. He is our CEO and chief geologist. And Gary has discovered multi-million ounce projects all over the world, and worked for 10 years on Bay Street, advising Dundee funds which projects that they should invest in. So he's got, you know, two very important aspects of developing a gold company. One's on the economic side. The other is on the geology side of identifying the gold. So with that, I'll pass it over to Gary.
Okay, thank you, Linda, and thank you for that rousing introduction, and good to see you again, Deborah, and thank you again for the invitation to be on, on the Adelaide network. I won't go over the same aspects that Linda just introduced. I'll give you a quick update. As Linda pointed out, we are developing what is one of North America's largest gold deposits. We recently completed the acquisition of the O3 Mining Garrison project. It occurs immediately adjacent to our Golden Highway project. We now have a combined 8.4 million ounces in both open pit and underground resources. There's 2.8 million ounces underground and 5.6 million ounces open pit. We're currently drilling, and we've got a very aggressive program underway. We're drilling out the extensions of the Golden Highway resources. We put out a very good press release a month ago, showed 700-800 meter strike extent on the Windjammer South deposits to the east. So this is a very big, large piece of real estate. Just last week, we put out another release that showed 700 meter strike extent between Windjammer South and the Southwest deposit. So we've outlined two very large areas, which we think will host a significant amount of ounces. We're going to link those up with our current resource. We've just finished drilling in the Westaway area. That was a new discovery last year. It's an underground resource, good grade. We're drilling out 55, and we've just started the rigs again on the gap area. That's between Southwest and Windjammer South. So we'll have a good flow of news during the year. We're going to show lots of resource expansion, but potential. We are, assays have been a little delayed, but we're working through that, and drilling is continuing regardless. Core's being processed, and assays are coming back. We'll keep the public, abreast of the news as it comes in, and we'll keep moving the project forward and continue to add ounces during the year. And I think this is going to be an exciting year. We're hoping to update the resources at the end of the year. update the PEA. Remember, we did 2 very good PEAs last year, one on an underground, on one of our underground resources, and one on the Garrison project. So we think we'll be in a good position come year end to be, to be moving forward on the PEA and showing an updated production profile and updated valuation on the combined projects. So thank you.
That's a great update. Thank you, Gary. Thanks, Linda. Up next, we have Sarah Madre. Vanessa, do you want to do the intro?
I shall do. That's a tough act to follow after Linda's intro. Hi,
that
Alex.
That was amazing. Good luck.
I'll just be real brief and to say, Alex, we're so happy to be working with you. Welcome to the market on Monday. Starting Monday, we're ringing that bell. And Alex and Sierra Madre have the assets in Mexico. And although a young CEO, Alex, you have an impressive track record that you're building. So why don't you tell us more, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This is a fun format, learning a lot, and some quite exciting companies. Thank you so much for including us. As Vanessa said, we're going to start trading on Monday. The symbol will be SM. Really quite excited. It's one of these 4.5-year overnight successes, but we're getting there. When we started the company, we were looking for a silver company that we'd all want to invest in. We're a group of partners, kind of capital markets professionals, as well as mining professionals. We really wanted to build a decent silver gold mining company that people would want to invest in. The original idea was to acquire a project and build out from there. So our first project is a project called Tepic. We own 100% of Tepic. It's in the western state of Nayarit. It's about 70% silver, 30% gold. The previous operators of Tepic actually had over 100 million market cap during its peak. They spent about 20 million in exploration, including 31,000 meters of drilling, which we have in our core shed in Tepic. Tepic had a historic resource of just over 10 million ounces of silver. Our goal this year is to, do a compliant NI 43-101 resource by year's end. So we'll be doing lots of drilling. At the same time, we really didn't want to be a one project company. We feel there's a really good opportunity to kind of consolidate the area in and around Nayarit. There are some other mines in production, there's processing plants, there's mills, but no one's really consolidated the area. So we have actually 15 million in cash, and we'll be using that to acquire some other projects, hopefully this year as well. So that's kind of where we're at.
So I think you're scheduled to list on Monday, and we're going to do the new to market webinar on Wednesday at 11 Eastern. So looking forward to hearing the full presentation.
Yeah, that'll be excellent.
It's a long time coming.
Yeah, we'll also have Greg Liller, our COO and executive chairman, on that call as well. He's a geologist, I think 40 plus years experience. He's actually at site this week, which is quite exciting. So we'll have lots of news from that. But as he said, he's had 7 of his babies become mines and has lots of good stories. So people listen in to Greg, they'll learn a lot, that's for sure.
Hi, good. Peter. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
Just so everyone knows, the ticker is SM, and it'll be
SM, on Monday.
Monday.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Alex. Next up, we have Peter Londa. I don't know if Linda's coming back on to do the intro. We'll give her a second to load things up.
I'm back again. Thanks very much, Deborah. And hello, Peter Londa. Thank you very much for joining our digital newsletter update today. We're very pleased to have an update on Tantalus, which is a technology company that helps utilities prepare for the grid of the future. Smart grid technology will allow utilities to have two-way communication so that they can deliver more efficient information to the operators and also be able to control demand surges and supply interruptions. So with that, they're newly listed from February the 9th of this year under the symbol GRID, and I'll pass it over to Pete Londa.
Yeah, thanks, Linda, Deborah, and team. Thanks for the inclusion in today. Nice to see you all. I clearly need to go get a hairstylist so I can keep up with all of your beautiful hair, but I'll do my best to try to look good. Thanks for including us. We're excited to be here. And just on a brief update, as Linda had referenced, we commenced trading on the venture exchange about 2 months ago and continue to ramp up. Our stock is, we've been, with your support, able to get some traction and drive some demand with our market cap now in excess of $100 million, which we're very pleased with. In terms of recent initiatives from the company, we've just recently shared a few key initiatives from a technical perspective in March. As Linda referenced, our focus is really helping electric utilities improve their efficiency, reliability, and sustainability, which is becoming that much more important when we witness the unfortunate events that unfolded in Texas with Mother Nature wreaking havoc on renewables and really bringing the entire electric grid to its knees. That's translated into a few opportunities for us. We supported 8 utilities in the state of Texas weather that storm pretty effectively. And in terms of some new initiatives, we've recently announced a next generation product, our next iteration of technology in helping utilities deliver broadband services to homes and simultaneously access more data from meters. That then ties to our first data analytics tool with AI capability to help utilities pinpoint and predict where distribution equipment will fail, so that they can plan out their CapEx budget for the next 5 and 10 years with our technology. So extremely excited to continue to try to build awareness from our organization as we make this pilgrimage from a private company into a publicly traded organization. In terms of some financial results, while we've shared guidance through Q4, we anticipate delivering our 2020 audited financials in the coming days. And soon on the heels of that, we'll be very excited to share news about our Q1 financial results in the next few weeks as well. So pleasure to be here, and thanks for the opportunity to provide a brief update.
Thanks, Pete. There's been some exciting trading action this week too.
Yeah, thanks for that, Deborah. I think twofold, one of which is I think as investors start to understand that while investments in renewable energy, wind, solar, and now all the rage storage are important, as we witnessed in Texas, when you have variability on renewable resources without command and control of how people are actually consuming electricity, it can create substantial issues. And so we're pleased to see some investors starting to think about where the puck is going to be in terms of upgrades to the distribution grid, which is tied directly to our purpose. And to that end, really pleased to see a substantial block trade for us go through earlier this week from a $47 billion hedge fund down here in the United States that focuses in the tech sector and on the renewable side of the clean tech industry. So hopefully the first of several large institutions to start building a position and help continue to access capital as we look to scale the company.
Nice to see that kind of interest in the stock, Pete.
Yeah, thank you for your help.
Nice to see you. Thanks for the update, and thank you, Linda, as well. Next up, we have Joe Hamilton, CEO of Unigold. Hi, Joe. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for the inclusion and the opportunity to talk a little bit about Unigold as well.
Yeah, well, you've got a couple of catalysts coming, so maybe you can give us an update on what's going on at Unigold.
Of course. We've been working pretty diligently over the last 4 months getting economic studies together for the oxide portion of our deposit in the Dominican Republic at Candelones. Micon International is just putting the finishing touches on those, and we should be able to review the final numbers next week and hopefully get them into the marketplace early the following week. But I think people will find those numbers in that project quite compelling. It's a low capital project. We've been guiding people towards sort of $30 million in capital to put the oxide into production. The biggest thing about putting together these economic studies at this point is that we will use them to apply for a mining license. We're already in discussions with the government about that. As a matter of fact, we had the Vice Minister of Mines at our site yesterday, to review our work to date and to look at the plans that we have going forward. So we're hopeful that we can have permits in hand for the oxide portion of the deposit towards the end of this year and start construction early next year on that. It's about 25,000 ounces of gold per year over a 4 to 6 year period. So it should be a good project for us. But the real win, I think, for investors and for ourselves at the projects that we have in the Dominican Republic are the underlying sulfides, which are much larger than the oxide resource. And we're just putting together a new resource as well. Micon International is doing that. That should be available in the next few weeks as well. And that resource, we haven't updated the sulfide resource since 2013. So there's a large amount of drilling, about 40,000 meters of drilling that needs to be included in the new resource numbers. And I think that will, once again, we've been guiding people towards sort of a 3 million ounce resource in all categories and a significant portion of that in measured indicated at this point. So that, I think, will also be a catalyst for the company in the next few weeks. And then on the back of that resource, we'll start looking at engineering of the sulfide project, which will be a much larger, longer term project for us.
Great. And you've had some pretty good drill results lately. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
Oh, I always like to talk about drill results. They're the results that we put out sort of the last 3 weeks. We intersected some new mineralization to the east of our known resources at this point, about 350 meters to the east, which extends the strike length by about 20 to 30% further to the east. We didn't expect any mineralization there. We were actually targeting the holes to go deeper into the known mineralization. But we found new oxide mineralization close to surface, which was completely unexpected. There was no geochemical signature in that area. The surface seemed to have been weathered down to about 2 meters deep, but the oxides exist below that. So that was surprising, and that could add to our oxide project. And then deeper as well, when I say deeper, only about 40, 50 meters below surface, we intercepted a new epithermal system that was hidden and blind, and we didn't know it was there. And that returned some, fairly interesting results. It's one drill hole. We'll have to see if we can expand that. We've got drills working in that area now. So very exciting that this deposit, certainly the sulfide portion of the deposit, is not closed off by any means. It's still open to depth. About 3 weeks ago, we put out our highest grade drill hole to date in the B zone, which was about 7 meters at about 22 grams of gold. We've got deeper holes going into that now. They've intersected mineralization, but we'll have to wait for the labs to give us the assays back so we can understand how big that system is getting at depth as well.
Great. Well, not often you see 2 discoveries in one drill hole. So congrats on that, Joe.
That is true. But the more interesting thing is we just keep driving this project forward over time. So we'll continue to do that, I think, over the course of this year. And I would invite investors to come along with us for the ride, because I think you'll see with the oxide economics that we'll put out in the next few weeks, they'll certainly underpin our market cap. They may even be in excess of our market cap just on the oxide portion, which means the sulfides come for free at this point in time for any investor that wants to purchase the stock.
You got to like that optionality. Thanks for the update, Joe.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Last up but not least is Cesar Gonzalez, CEO of Sailfish. We were going alphabetically, but Cesar had a conflict, so he's taking Joe's spot as always last this time.
Ironically, that conflict ended up not materializing. So I had an interview with Matt Gordon over at Crux, and I really enjoyed sitting down with him, but his cable went out, so we have to reschedule.
We've had similar situations in the past. So Cesar, why don't you give us an update on what's going on at Sailfish?
Yeah, there are a couple of big things since we last did one of these newsletters. Number one is we found more shares to buy back. So we were able to expand our NCIB from roughly 3 million shares to 3.8 million, so an increase of 800,000. And that was press released earlier this month. I think it was on the 5th. And then on Monday, we had a transaction by Cisco Royalties, a big player in our sector. They acquired a 2.5% NSR on Spring Valley, which is a project where we have a 3% NSR. So that 2.5% brings Cisco royalties to the same 3% level that Sailfish is at. They had a 0.5% already. And, they bought it from Red Kite, the group out of the UK that does project finance. It was non-core to Red Kite, so they sold it. And what this does for us at Sailfish and for our investors is that Spring Valley is, it's a large deposit. It's an undeveloped, it's a project in Nevada and Pershing County. It's gold, over 5 million ounces. So it has all of the ingredients for being a very attractive project, but it's inside of a private equity firm based in Toronto called Waterton. And unlike a lot of your clients, they don't put out press releases. They don't talk about any advancements on the project, permitting, metallurgy, the expansion of the deposit itself. So it's a little frustrating when we talk to investors and we try to explain that Barrick used to own this deposit. It's one of the largest undeveloped gold projects in Nevada. It's a great jurisdiction, Pershing County. There are gold mines all over. Rochester is right next door. And now we have an equal sized royalty inside of a diverse portfolio. Cisco royalties are $2 billion US market cap. And they have 15 analysts that cover the stock. And I'm betting that, most of those analysts will start running numbers on what Spring Valley is actually worth. We know what they paid. I think they got a very good deal. And now the analysts will start running their numbers. There's data from 2014 from Barrick, which is historical in nature, but at some point Waterton is going to sell the asset. It'll be inside of a company that it's a primary asset for them and they want to advance it. They'll probably call you, Deb, and say, can we have some IR services so we can tell people what we have, as opposed to Waterton, which is really tight-lipped about everything that they're doing. So very incremental. I can't wait to see what some of these analysts, their numbers, what they run through their models in terms of a NAV, and then we can tell investors, we have the same thing. So it's great, very positive news.
It's nice to see that increased exposure potentially coming. Can you give us an update on what's going on with Gavilanis as well?
Absolutely. So we're progressing on a 43101, which is a requirement to be able to spin out the project. We also hired Paulo Illustrito, who is the VP Corporate Development now at Sailfish. His primary responsibility is to get Gavilanis ready to be pushed out on its own. And for any investor that's interested in silver, there's a dearth of silver companies out there. Deb, you provide IR services for at least one that I know. Maybe there are others, and you've had your silver conferences, and there really aren't very many names. So we have inside of Sailfish the silver project on a prolific mining district next to the San Dimas Tayoltita mine, one of Mexico's longest producing gold and silver mines. And it's inside of our company. It's getting no value. I think the royalties are trading at a discount, so the asset is trading negative. And we're going to fix that. We're going to push it out on its own. We have a plan. Paulo is going to be leading the effort on that. And I wouldn't be surprised once that new company is created or whatever we end up doing with the asset that, Paulo is going to be dedicated to making sure that it all works out. So a lot of exciting things going on within this little royalty company of ours.
That's great. Thank you so much for the update, Caesar. Exciting times. Looking forward to the Gavilanis spin out, and yeah, should be interesting also for Spring Valley getting some additional attention. So thanks for the update. I believe that's all we have for live presenters, but we do have a couple more companies that we work with that we wanted to provide an update, even though they couldn't make this session. Vic, do you want to give us a little bit of an update on what's going on with Bonterra?
Yeah.
Actually, Caesar's chairman of Bonterra, so there's a nice little tie over there.
Yeah, that's right. So we just closed on a financing. Over $17 million were raised. Wexford maintained their pro rata, so still at 18.3%. We brought in a number of investors that you would dream about having in any company. I think I can use this name. It'll be on the marketing materials soon, but we brought in Fidelity. Fidelity is now one of our larger shareholders. We have MMCap, Wexford, Kirkland Lake, Van Eck, Ruffer, you name it. It's the who's who in the sector. So why are they all interested in Bonterra, a 100 million, 120 million market cap Canadian company? Because we have over 2 million ounces in one of the hottest gold camps in all of Canada and all of the world, quite frankly, and the infrastructure to be able to bootstrap our way into production. We're still on track to be able to put out a resource update by this summer, and we're targeting June. And that will be followed up with a PEA, which will be the first PEA that links all three of the deposits together. So those 2 million plus ounces are not in one deposit, but across three, including one that is production ready. We actually performed a bulk sample from the Maroy deposit in the fall of last year, ran it through our own mill, everything's working. And I continue to believe that it is I know I'm also involved with Mako, and Akiba was on earlier, but I'm going to say this, I think it's the cheapest gold company on the TSX venture. And, we're also working in the background on figuring out, how to take this company to the next level. And I'll just leave it at that. And we have a plan, and I'm hoping that over the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be able to announce something on that front.
Thanks, Cesar. That's a great update. Vic, do you have anything to add on Bonterra?
That was great. Thanks. You're making my job easy for me. I guess I would just note for people that aren't familiar with the story, the mill that Bonterra owns is the only permitted mill in the camp. And, they are about 2/3 through the permitting process to expand that mill from 800 tons a day to 2,400 tons per day. And, they are in a pretty active camp. And so anyone that's kind of around them that's looking for near or midterm production really does have to talk to them if they want to do anything in the short term. And so just in regards to the mill itself, we definitely think the story is significantly undervalued.
And then Tina, I think you've got a video for us for Medexus.
Yeah, a little bit of show and tell today. So we've been getting a lot of questions just quickly about the NASDAQ listing. Everything is on track. So I think we'll see some announcements hopefully in the near term on that. Management has been insider buying recently. And also the company came out with an announcement that all of the non-executive directors are taking restricted share units rather than payment. So I think that just tells you about their confidence in the story right now. In terms of the video, I thought I would share, there's a recent video that came out from a doctor. He's a neurosurgeon at the Ottawa Hospital. He describes how Gleolan works and kind of speaks briefly to the amount of data supporting this drug that's recently been commercialized. So let's see how my screen sharing works.
My name is John Sinclair, and I'm a neurosurgeon at the Ottawa Hospital. And one of my focuses in terms of my expertise is brain tumor surgery. 5-ALA surgery is a type of surgery that is used in the surgical management of primary brain tumors, which are tumors that come from the brain tissue. That's opposed to the more common type of malignant brain tumor, which is a metastatic brain tumor. Primary brain tumors are a very difficult type of tumor to do surgery on because they're often infiltrative in their nature with respect to their borders with the surrounding brain. Standard surgical treatment using an operative microscope allows us to visualize tumor tissue, which in the central part of the tumor is quite different from the surrounding brain. But on the edges of the tumor, it blends into the normal brain, and that becomes very difficult to ascertain where the tumor actually ends and normal tissue begins. The use of a fluorescent dye intraoperatively allows tumor tissue to glow under a certain wavelength of light produced by a special microscope. And that, in essence, allows the tumor margins to be delineated very, very clearly, and allows the surgeon to be able to remove more of the tumor in a much more safer manner, since we know the difference between the normal tissue and the abnormal tissue. The analogy that I've used before, it's like turning on the lights. You can actually see the difference, and it's dramatic. So this is a technique that's been used and pioneered in Europe for over 10 years, and a lot of data published with respect to its efficacy in terms of improving survival, improving quality of life for patients with this type of malignant brain tumor.
So yeah, thanks to everyone that participated as a presenter today and everyone that participated as an audience member. We've been slow to promote this through our network because we kind of want to iron out some of the kinks first, but I think we're ready to go. We've got to take the little newsletter to the next level. But yeah, thanks everyone for participating, for listening, and looking forward to the next one.